Hello YouTube, my name is The Nobody and welcome to the first episode of my new series. This series will be focusing on misandrous laws from around the world. So let's start off with one of the first and most misandrous movements in history, first wave feminism. And yes, for those of you who haven't quite figured it out yet, first wave feminism was cancer. And this video I'll be proving it to you. Anyway, let's begin. So today we'll be starting off with one of the most ridiculous laws, the bachelor tax. Now the bachelor tax dates all the way back to ancient Rome, but we'll be talking about the bachelor tax that first wave feminists tried to push. In 1896, a Ms. Charlotte Smith, feminist activist and president of the Women's Resource League, spearheaded an anti-bachelor campaign based on her concerns about the increasing number of women who could not find husbands. So from the looks of it, you already had somewhat of a MGTOW movement all the way back in 1896, and in fact even in ancient Rome. Anyway, let's continue. A surprising development considering men outnumbered women in the United States by 1.5 million. Her solution to the so-called problem was to denigrate, malign, and ultimately punish bachelors in order to pursue them into marrying any woman unlucky enough to remain unwed. So there you go. It's really not that complicated to see the true purpose of the feminist movement. Basically to extract money from men with minimal effort. I mean, why it's a man's duty to take care of a woman, isn't it? And if a man isn't being forced to take care of a woman thanks to marriage, then he should be forced to take care of a woman with taxes. Anyway, let's read a quote from this misandrous witch. No man can be a good, honourable, and upright citizen who has not entered into the holy bonds of wedlock. So in other words, it's a man's duty to take care of a woman, or else he's a bad man. Classic shaming tactics. Part of the bachelor tax would even include having bachelors excluded from employment in prominent public sector positions. And she even kept pushing for the bachelor tax all the way up to 1911. So anyway, you get the point, no real need to go on. As you can see, misandry has existed for quite a while. Now let's move on to Prohibition. Now, Prohibition was a law that prohibited the selling and consumption of alcohol in between the years of 1920 all the way up to 1933. But I'm more interested in the ways Prohibition was achieved. In pursuit of the temperance movement, about 15 women would approach a saloon and ask its keeper to close down. When he refused, the women brandished their hatchets. The owner then fetched a shotgun, aimed it at them, and ordered them out, as he should. But unfortunately, as they left, a group of gentlemen who had been attracted by the cry of the ladies disarmed the owner and allowed the women to resume their efforts, and demolish the town's other remaining saloons. So white knights, cucks, and manginas, even back then, were ruining everything for the rest of us. I mean, god damn it, what the hell was wrong with those men? They just fucked things up for the rest of us. And by the way, in case you didn't know, Prohibition brought with it the gangsters and the mob, that saw a lucrative business in selling alcohol at the time. Also, in case you're a fan of The Simpsons, they actually made quite a nice episode about Prohibition, and for once they didn't actually simp out. Now, does anyone else notice something interesting about this article? It basically shows us that even back then, this so-called myth of violence against women didn't really exist. Because if it did, the men back then, instead of pussying out, fleeing from the saloon and even sometimes helping them destroy it, would have just punched them in the mouth like they should. Anyway, now let's move on to voting rights and the draft. Now, Selective Service in America has existed ever since 1778 and all the way up to the present day. Now, this paragraph I took from Wikipedia and pasted it onto Word, but except from that I didn't actually do any more editing. Now, the problem with the draft and voting is that even though men had to be drafted to gain their voting rights, women had to do nothing of the sort and still got the same voting rights. Another problem with this is that, as shown by this article, men are the only net taxpayers. If you look at this graph, you will see the differences between male contribution to the tax system and female contribution to the tax system, and as shown, men pay far more taxes. Now, as you can see by this graph, the average woman will cost the tax system $150,000. Now, the reasons for this are, number one, as shown by the first graph, women pay far less taxes. And number two, the government spends far more taxes on women. Basically, all their social entitlement programs that are paid for by men, but rarely include them. So my problem with this is that voting is basically deciding how the taxes are going to be spent, and if and when you will go to war with another country. And since women are the majority voters in the United States, they are the ones that have the final say in how the country is run. So now you have a system in which the group that contributes nothing to the tax system, in fact takes from it, and will not have to suffer the consequences of a war, gets to decide what countries you go to war with, and how the taxes are spent. Now, maybe it's just me, because I'm such an evil misogynist, but that doesn't sound like equality. And on top of all of that, if you fail to sign up for the draft by the time you're 26, you will permanently lose out on things like federal student aid, federal job training, a federal job, in some states your license, you will not be eligible to become a US citizen, and you may also receive a fine up to $250,000 and/or jail time. Now, if that's not slavery and second-class citizenship, I honestly don't know what is. And now we have finally come to the notorious White Feather Movement. For those of you who do not know, the White Feather Movement was a group of women with white feathers that symbolized cowardice, that would walk around in the street pinning it to the clothes of any man who looked as if he was army age but was not wearing an army uniform. So basically, as usual, shaming men into doing something that may even cost them their lives. And as shown in this article that I'm about to read, it worked. In August 1914, Admiral Charles, I can't really read his last name, founded the Order of the White Feather, with the support of leading writers such as Mary Wand and Emma, I think, Orczy. The organization encouraged women to give out white feathers to young men who had not joined the British Army. Now, I realize that this article is talking about the British Army, and before we were talking about America, but trust me, the same thing happened in America as well. Anyway, moving on. One young woman remembers her father, Robert Smith, being given a feather on his way home from work. That night he came home and cried his eyes out. My father was not a coward, but he had been reluctant to leave his family. Don't you think it's sad that men aren't allowed to have a reason such as, I don't want to die, to not join the army? Instead they have to rationalize it and say that, oh, I didn't want to leave my family or something ridiculous like that. But no, if you want to be a coward, if you don't want to die, don't join the army. Don't sacrifice yourself for a country in which you are a second-class citizen and a wage slave. Anyway, moving on. He was 34, and my mother, who had 2 young children, had been suffering from a serious illness. Soon after this incident, my father joined the army. So, as seen from this article, the power of shame is very strong, especially when applied from a woman onto a man. And I honestly have no idea how many untold lives have been lost in World War I just because women shamed men into doing so. But anyway, to sum up the first wave feminist movement, you had a bunch of entitled women that wanted the same privileges men got for dying for their country without actually dying for their country, or even paying any net tax to this day, then would go on to shame men that didn't die for them, were angry because men weren't spending all their money on them, but instead getting a few drinks after a hard day's work, so they resorted to violence and vandalism, and on top of all that, demanded that unmarried men pay an extra tax because not all women managed to find themselves a good slave. So do you still think first wave feminism is good? Well, if you do, that's your opinion. Your incredibly stupid opinion. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and also that you learned something from it. As usual, I'll leave links to all the articles in the description below. If you think I missed something, or just feel like being charitable and supporting the channel, feel free to leave a comment below. And considering I only have 8 subscribers, I'm sure I'll find the time to respond. And in case you're wondering, the topic for the next video will probably be second wave feminism. Anyway, hopefully my lisp wasn't that bad, and see you next time, bye. Damn, my outro sucked.